Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on yet another episode of the Those Fantasy Dudes podcast. If you haven't already, if this is your first time here, check us out on Instagram at Those Fantasy Dudes or Facebook at Those Fantasy Dudes. Check out our website, thosefantasydudespodcast.com. And if you want to send us some start-sit questions for us to read off on the show, you can get those to us via our contact page on the website, or send us a private message on Instagram, or email us if you're looking for that old-timey kind of communication with us. You can send us an email at thosefantasydudes@gmail.com. Hope you guys had a successful week 3, and if not, make sure you stick around for the rest of the show. Hopefully our somewhat educated fantasy advice can help you with your week 4 matchups.
Welcome to Those Fantasy Dudes podcast with your hosts, Jonathan and Jake.
All right, Jake and John back here again, the Those Fantasy Dudes podcast, the show where we talk about our keeper, redraft, and dynasty leagues every single week, talk a little matchups, talk a little NFL news, injury updates, and mainly just talk shit about our league mates. And I think Sam's going to get the brunt of it this week, and potentially Chandler. Sorry, guys, if you're listening, I am mad at both of you.
You're also a mean person.
Yeah, deep down at my core, I am a very selfish asshole. So, especially when it comes to fantasy football, I'm upset this week. Oh, thank you, Jake, for pulling your microphone closer.
Hey, yeah, look, I'm just trying to get the people like they're right, like I'm speaking right in their ear.
I want to be able to see the microphone, otherwise I don't trust that it's close enough to you.
Football-based ASMR.
That might be a new niche market. Maybe we should try that. Like, oh, have you guys heard about KJ Hamler's?
What would you start between Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook?
Oh my God! Imagine if you had that dilemma and you had both of those guys on.
That was like when I had Kamara and Zeke. That was great. It was
yeah,
like, who should I start this week?
By the way,
both of them.
Yeah. Wow. What a dilemma that must have
I still
been
lost.
back when
I
they're both
still
literally
lost
in their
because
prime.
God and fantasy football do not. There's no guarantees.
Yeah, speaking of the fantasy football gods, Monday Night Football completely just handled me last night. Handed me a big fat dish of shit with CD Lamb and Dak Prescott and Miles Sanders getting 2 carries.
I can't believe you had those 3
Jalen
players
Hurts
playing in one game and collectively got like 30, 35, 40 points from them.
Yeah, if that. I mean, Dak on paper had a pretty solid game, but he got robbed of a rushing touchdown, and that would have won me the week. So,
yeah,
it was rough. Miles Sanders, 2 carries.
Man, I mean, if they had just given Miles Sanders like 10 carries, I think you win the week.
And it's funny because that was the only thing working for the Eagles. Like, Jalen Hurts threw like a pick 6. I think he fumbled it, and the Cowboys got a touchdown. Like,
it's amazing.
Everything in the passing game was not working.
He looked like such a rookie quarterback last night, and he was still. I'd almost guarantee a QB1 for sure, and I would probably say close to a top 6 option, right? I don't have the rankings for the week in front of me, but I mean, he still put up like 24 points or something like that.
He did better than Dak.
Yeah, so.
He got a few more points than Dak, and so I mean that's all you have to. You don't have to be a good quarterback for the game to be fantasy relevant, which is why we can start people like from the line.
Danny Dimes, baby.
Yeah, but anyway, check us out on Instagram, Facebook at Those Fantasy Dudes, thosefantasydudespodcast.com. Go ahead and send us your start and sit or other fantasy football related questions every single week. We record these on Tuesday, so if you get them to us on Monday or Tuesday in the morning, that would be ideal, so we can talk about them on the show. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, CastBox, Reason, Radio Public, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and Anchor.
I got all that.
Let's talk some NFL news. We also don't have an intro or a transition for that yet. I'm surprised that we didn't get one, but NFL news.
We should make it like a breaking news, like an action news.
Yeah, Josh Gordon's back again.
Josh Gordon smoking weed in the locker room as we speak.
Him and Andy Reid were smoking pot. That's why Andy Reid had to go to the hospital.
Him and Andy Reid are a great couple because Josh Gordon's going to be high and hungry all the time, and Andy Reid is just already hungry all the time.
It's honestly a match made in heaven, in my opinion. And that is our first 2 stories today that we should be talking about. It's Josh Gordon reinstated and signed by the Chiefs to their practice squad. Andy Reid's fine. He's back at the practice facility. He's working hard yet again. Probably has a big old breakfast sandwich every morning, I hope. What do you think is
He's a
breakfast?
king. I don't know. Probably whatever they're serving the team, I would imagine.
And I've had team breakfast when I work at the hotel. It's just a lot. They have steak, chicken, like anything you can imagine.
They are literally 99% athletes.
They are, yeah.
They're 99th percentile.
And I would consider Andy Reid an athlete.
I would consider him a god among men as far as play calling. Also, if you have never looked up the picture of Andy Reid playing football in middle school, do yourself a favor and do that.
He was the same size,
it's the
right? Same
funniest
weight and
thing. Yeah, he looks like me playing against fourth graders. It's
toddlers.
I swear to God, his jersey's like up halfway up his shirt because it's just not long enough because he's that big.
I don't think Josh Gordon's going to be fantasy relevant this year or ever again, but it's cool that he's on a team again.
I just don't think that's true. I think it comes down to what he's been doing in the off seasons. But he very well could. We don't know. When's the last time you saw Josh Gordon? When did he play? Didn't he come back to the Seahawks for a little while?
Yeah, he was on the Seahawks, and this was like toward the end of the season, I think. So like DK was already pretty established. Lockett was already doing great. And at the time, I think even Disley and Carson were pretty solid fantasy options. So plugging Gordon in wasn't really
I'm not saying start in week 4. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, hey, if you like having fun in fantasy and this seems like a fun move, I support it, I think.
Great dynasty pickup if he's available, which
I'm sure he is. For all you know, next season there are plenty of 31-year-old fantasy relevant wide receivers. He's 29 this year, and he has significantly less wear and tear on his body than some of the other people who've made it that long. You never know. In Dynasty, I say full steam ahead, pick him up, see where it goes. I wish I saw him.
He's also
and just didn't pull the trigger. But
does someone already get him in our league?
Yep, Frank has him. Frank took him. I saw him, and then Frank picked him up later that day, and then the news came out. So
good for Frank.
Yeah,
well,
good for Frank.
Colts are looking to trade Marlon Mack.
Good.
Which, fuck Marlon Mack.
I mean, I don't feel like that. I don't know if I feel like that about it, but I get what you're saying.
I've always disliked him ever since Truman took him in the first round when he should have been a 4th round pick. He's just
Truman was literally drafting on the side of the road in Iceland. Leave him alone. He was just
well, he'd still look at potential ADP instead of scrolling 100 players down the list to take him with the 5th overall.
He was just favored in his boys. Leave him alone.
How is Marlon Mack his boy?
Because Marlon Mack did great for him the year previous.
Okay, well, I'm interested to see which team ends up. I'm sure somebody will take him. Somebody will snag Marlon Mack, and he'll be like a 3rd stringer. Imagine he goes to the 49ers or Baltimore and screws that backfield up even more.
No, thank you. I would not like that. As a Tyson Williams owner who is currently just racking my brain on why on earth they would do that.
Yeah, what happened last week, dude?
I don't know.
Because I had him and I still won in my work league. I have Tyson. I started him in my
only
flex.
thought is they are looking to just wear down these backs in hopes that they will get injured first. I don't really know. I can't.
I just want to see how many carries they even gave him.
I think it was like 2 or 3.
All I know is it was more than Miles Sanders got. So.
Yeah,
wow. 5 attempts for 22 yards. It's not great. I mean, it's fine, but I'm surprised they didn't give him the ball more. But to be fair, it was a really close game the whole time. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know but he's been efficient. Like, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, I get it's a close game all the time, but like, I don't know. It's tough. They've got so many people out right now that it's like, I mean, not just the running backs that everybody knows about, but I mean, there's all of their depth is just cooked. And there's dudes out there that they have no intention of playing right now. And there's people that they did have. I mean, they expected to have Rashad Bateman. And God, I could talk for quite a while about.
It is your team.
Yeah. Hollywood Brown, man,
he's been doing great. He's looked great.
I mean, not if you watch that game, dude. That was 3 major drops, and to his credit. There's footage from Marlon Humphrey's Instagram right after the game where him and Lamar are sitting in the plane seats watching film together. So, like, to his credit, he, like Lamar, gives a shit about making it better.
Of course.
And that's really good to see. But I just hope that the case isn't like Lamar just loves him and wants to keep him around, and there's never going to be that like, oh, well, he used to have a drop problem. And because there are other guys that have had drop problems. I was reading on Twitter somebody who was talking about T.O. T.O. had a bad drop problem. And I mean, I don't know anybody that would be upset to have T.O. on their team at, his prime. So,
yeah, I mean, it happens with so many big name players that, Deontay Johnson had drop problems last year. And
Devontae Adams
it
had
doesn't
drop
deter
problems,
me
early on in his career. I mean, it doesn't deter me.
It's very much.
I don't want Marquise Brown as a Ravens fan, because it's just a small pie. You'll hear that. It's just, you can't break up something that's already fairly small and still be super fantasy relevant.
He would be very deep on my bench if I did end up having him on my team. Like, he'd probably be like my 5th or 6th start option for wide receiver.
A wide receiver 4, I'm fine with him as a wide receiver 4. It might be small, but it is guaranteed, kind of. Like, he's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's the wide receiver 1. But anyway, that's enough Ravens talk. Just a quick plug for Justin Tucker being the greatest kicker to ever live. If you have any other opinion, you're wrong.
I mean, it's obvious at this point. The guy has come in clutch so many times, and
Detroit,
he has
dude.
The leg of I don't know, a rhino.
I don't know,
like
I don't know how Detroit hasn't just killed Justin Tucker. Like, how them as a
it's
people.
actually insane because you saw like the flashbacks to the other games in history with Detroit getting just annihilated by kickers.
Justin Tucker himself booted through another 61-yarder to save a game.
Yeah, and back in the day was when the kicker was like half a foot, who set the record for 63. That was against the Lions.
Wow, dude. Have you seen
which is just
have
crazy
you seen
to
any
me.
of the videos from inside the stands of watching the Lions just absolutely disappointed? Oh, man.
What's new though?
It's amazing.
Dude, when they honored Calvin Johnson at halftime actually, and the owner came out, I think it was like
dude, they were booing her. Like, seriously.
Her.
And she was like trying to play it off and laugh and stuff, and it's like, I mean, man, your organization hates you that much.
Imagine being a Lions fan though. Like, they have never even made the Super Bowl. Like, I don't think they've won a playoff game since the 80s.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
there's people who are probably diehard Lions fans that have never seen a playoff win.
Oh, 100%. Most of them. A little bit of NFL news here that I am really tired of the Bears this year. They got annihilated this week by the Browns. I think Justin Fields got sacked 9 times.
I want you to know that on Thursday nights we're starting a support group for Allen Robinson managers. If you
I don't
feel
have
like
him. I have
you've
no
been
stakes in him this year.
unfairly attacked by having Allen Robinson, we're actually going to get together and kill Matt Nagy.
You know what? It sucks even more for a guy who drafted Darnell Mooney in like 4 teams. So I'm actually at a point this week in one of my teams where I have to consider dropping him for a waiver.
If you're honestly, I can't recommend anybody keep any Bears players on their redraft leagues. If you have a keeper league and you want to keep Mooney because you got him in the 14th or wherever you got it, that's fine. If you have dynasty, I think Darnell Mooney is truly one of the best sleeper like wide receivers to have. He's incredible. It's just a matter of getting a better play caller and getting some continuity at quarterback. I mean, for the love of God, Andy Dalton's not terrible, by any stretch. He's won playoff games, a couple, and he's not the worst quarterback that the Bears have had. But when he gets injured and then Fields comes in and then now the coach is saying, oh, well, it could be any of these 3 guys. And it's like, you need to have some continuity for your players. You need to have some expectations for what players can expect.
If you don't know if as a player, and I think, every player on the Bears is being affected by this. David Montgomery only got 7 points this week. It's Matt Nagy. There's no consistency coming from the coaches, and that means there's no consistency in the locker room. The players don't know what to expect. They didn't have a game plan going into the Cleveland game this week and didn't even make any adjustments at halftime.
Yeah, it certainly felt like, good God.
It's rough, dude. Like I'm scared. I'm so glad I don't have Allen Robinson, but
I don't put any of it on Fields,
Nagy.
to be honest. Like, I think Fields, really kind of did the best with what he could, and I think he made some rookie mistakes, but
he also got tossed into this. This wasn't when they planned on starting him, so this, he wasn't ready, and that was very clear.
Yeah.
But it's not like Matt Nagy was helping him in any way, shape, or form either.
No.
And yet he puts the blame on everyone else. He's very vocal about it's not his fault. He always seems to, in a sense, put it on the other.
He
on the
should have been
quarterback or the
fired
team
this
or
morning
whatever.
or yesterday morning, actually.
I would be surprised if he makes it through the whole season.
Yeah.
Major injuries this week. Christian McCaffrey, obviously, we talked about this on the show that came out on Friday, but he does have a hamstring strain. Matt Ja Rule has said that it's definitely week to week, but less than 3 weeks, which means he doesn't have to go on the short-term IR. I'm scared,
One important
though.
thing, like I said last week, it's important to note that last year they had no incentive to bring him back. There was no reason to bring Christian McCaffrey back. They were losing. They had Teddy Bridgewater, who they clearly didn't see as a long-term option, and there's no reason to bring him back. But now they're 3-0. They're 3-0. Things are hitting. So I think you see him back sooner rather than later. I think my major concern is if he comes back sooner rather than later and re-aggravates it and then gets a full IR, you're looking at not getting him back until playoffs, realistically, like a couple weeks before playoffs.
I mean, yeah, that's horrible. I want Christian McCaffrey every week because I have a huge advantage over every single opponent that I'm going against. Instead, I'm going to be starting guys like Antonio Gibson and Miles Sanders, who do also have that. There's always a doubt during the week that, okay, maybe they'll get some carries sniped from them or the game plan won't work in their favor. You don't have that issue with Christian McCaffrey. He is 100% getting the ball a lot. It's better news than I was expecting. I'll say that.
These next two are pretty quick and upsetting. Well, only one of them. KJ Hamler.
This is like you love this guy. He's your favorite.
He's not my favorite, but he's a good player and he's young and he was good while being young, which is great because when those kind of guys develop, it's like, it's even better. And I didn't even know this until today. To be honest, I wasn't paying that close attention to the Broncos game because it was just an absolute blowout against the Jets. So it's like, what was there to see? But man, that's sad.
Yeah, and I've heard that it's a pretty significant tear, and it could keep him out even more than just this season. So like it could break into next season as well. Yeah, but I mean that definitely makes Courtland Sutton a great option as well if you have him on your team, which I do on a few leagues. He had a bad week this week, but I think it was game script based because the running backs were actually able to get some space against the Jets.
You're not gonna throw when you're winning by 34-0.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense to sling it out to Courtland Sutton or Noah Fant or Tim Patrick. So if you have those guys on your team, use them. Use them to your advantage. But yeah, that really does suck for KJ Hamler. I'd hate to see that happen to a young player,
If this means Damien Harris gets more workload, James White's out for,
it's most likely, I think he's done for the season. I really do.
He's old. I mean, we'll see if they have a winning record and there's a reason, maybe he comes back. But I don't really see that happening. They got a rookie quarterback. Things are going okay.
Dislocated hip, by the way, for James White. It was probably halfway through the game. He took a hit, got carted off the field, and wasn't looking all that happy about it.
But if that means Damien Harris gets pass work, that is huge. Damien Harris he's already got a decent workload. He's already got a good floor. You tack on 3 catches a game and maybe a receiving touchdown, he's a top-tier guy.
You know what this also does for you? This makes the receivers on the Patriots even more fantasy relevant. You got
That's
guys
true.
like Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar.
Bill Belichick. He's not the kind of guy that's only going to throw to his receivers in expected routes. He'll throw he'll throw screens. He'll throw behind the line of
screens to guys
scrimmage.
like Jacoby Myers and stuff.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
absolutely.
They'll utilize those kinds of things. They're not afraid of calling a little bit more unorthodox plays. So that's good. Jacoby Myers, I bet he sees a lot of work. Kendrick Bourne had a great game too, and that might be in part because they lost out on White. So we'll see. That's definitely something to monitor, but I'll tell you what, I would start no one this week except maybe Myers. And
probably Myers. Yeah, I would be okay with that one.
They're gonna get the hell beat out of them, dude. They're just gonna get their shit kicked in.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots at least stayed within 10 points of the Bucs, but I don't expect it to be a very strong performance from any of the players on the Patriots in terms of fantasy, especially Damien Harris. I think he gets shut down like
Tampa can run block, all day.
Yeah, I don't expect much from him. But I mean, I will say also with James White out, like guys like Ramondre Stevenson or J.J. Taylor, if you can snag them in Dynasty, if something happens to Damien Harris, very likely at least Ramondre will be fantasy relevant at some point this year.
And I think Ramondre is probably going to take over that James White role as things go forward. They got rid of Sony Michel. Now James White's gone, so now, I mean, they've been giving work to Ramondre Stevens. As far as I know, he was a pass catcher before coming to the Patriots. So...
yeah, I mean, there's a few other minor injuries that I think are worth mentioning. A.J. Brown, who's been very disappointing this year so far, has a very similar injury to Christian McCaffrey. He's considered week to week with a hamstring right now.
It's unbelievable that A.J. Green was the better A.J. in the draft.
I know, dude. You know what's crazy is he's gotten a lot, I think, more deep targets than anybody in the league so far this year.
I didn't know that, but that's
crazy to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't start him ever, but still, I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Our next guy, Rashad Bateman. This is happy for me. Love to see him come back.
Do you have him on your Dynasty team? Do you have him? No, I thought you might have.
Dude, I sent out a second-round pick offer for Rashad Bateman, and the guy asked for a first.
In our Dynasty?
Yeah, for Rashad Bateman. Like, I like Rashad Bateman, but not for a first.
No, I mean,
look at
you don't know.
No, go back and go look at the first round picks from like this last year's fantasy.
Yeah, it's like a Jamar Chase or a Devonta Smith.
That's like, I could have walked away with
Kyle
Devonta
Pitts.
Smith or Jamar Chase, not Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman's a second rounder.
And also, we just haven't seen anything from him yet, so there's no way that I would even consider a first round pick. But
like, I would trade a first round pick for like a guy like Javonte Williams, who he looks really promising, has every reason to be worth that. I think Najee Harris is worth well more than a first round pick. You know, some of those guys, Jamar Chase is definitely worth more than a first round pick. Those guys
at this point, he's proved everybody wrong. We were making fun of the guy not so long ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what other pick you were making fun of? Joe Burrow in the 10th round in the Dynasty League.
Well, he hasn't really done shit for fantasy this year.
Okay,
so
but
I don't feel like I'm wrong about that.
You're watching somebody have one of the best rookie wide receiver seasons so far. He has scored more touchdowns than any rookie wide receiver.
I mean, that's fair. I obviously he already has chemistry with Joe Burrow, so that's great. But I don't know. I think he's at a high right now.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to wait out this year and not expect much from them. But then, I mean, Joe Burrow was like the year he tore his ACL before that, or all the stuff in his knee was he was like a top 5 dynasty option. Everybody wanted him. So
yeah, I think that as the Bengals, I mean, you saw them this week against. We were just talking about Rashad Bateman, and this somehow turned into a Joe Burrow conversation. But I mean, watching the Bengals, the Steelers are dog shit. They suck. Okay, and I know they have some injuries, but Big Ben is a pile of shit this year. I think honestly they should put in Mason Rudolph. Put him in.
Man,
put him in.
I never thought I would agree with. Thought I would agree with quote put in Mason Rudolph.
I just at this point, Big Ben is just. I mean, I'll take the 19 targets of Najee Harris. I'll take that, but
that's insane.
I don't like the Steelers, but if the Steelers want to have any chance in this division, they're going to have to fucking figure something out, and Big Ben is not the answer right now.
All right, let's get through these next 3. This is pretty easy. Darius Slayton out with a hamstring.
Yeah, who cares?
Well, I mean, hey, come on.
I don't care. The Giants. I don't care about the Giants. I don't know how
Jones, good streamer, but
the one thing I found annoying about the Giants this week is they were still able to bottle up Kyle Pitts. I just don't understand. I hate the Falcons offense.
Do you want to trade Kyle Pitts?
I'll think about
it. If you're looking to get off of he's bad. You should get off of him. He's not gonna. There's never gonna be any development.
Yeah, probably not. Highly doubt it. Best tight end prospect ever. Juju Smith-Schuster, bruised ribs, considered day to day. This worked out well for Najee Harris, again for me, and also Chase Claypool.
Yep.
This means Deontay and Juju are, I would say potentially out next week. This
is a little bit bigger than I think people are giving this one credit for. Rob Gronkowski, his rib injury that he missed a little bit of time in the game for, those X-rays came back negative. That's huge because they're going back to New England this week.
Yeah, I don't even think about Rob is going back too. It's not just
Tom.
No, and Antonio Brown was also a Patriot for a game that I was
one game that you saw.
I was there. I saw his one touchdown.
Right? Yeah. So that's big. And I mean, Rob Gronkowski has been an absolute steal at tight end. I think he's what?
Yo, I actually did propose a trade for Rob Gronkowski. Withdrew it because of the injury, but I would consider asking again. I think I offered Hawkinson, James Robinson, and Chase Claypool for...
Do you have an entire enormous paragraph about how you lost in here? What the fuck, John?
It's not important. Whatever. It was a pretty reasonable trade offer. It got declined. So why don't we get into some matchups?
Matchups rewind.
All right, for matchups, I won our keeper league. That's against El Jefe, Jeff. He had Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey stacked, so pretty happy to see Kelsey get under his projected. He only got 17.4. He was the tight end 3 or 4 this week.
Behind Gronk and what, Dalton Schultz?
Dalton Schultz and
like, what the fuck?
Tyler Conklin. Dude, Tyler Conklin and Dalton Schultz are Dalton Schultz 1, Tyler Conklin 2. What?
That I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. There's no explaining that.
I had
it's a glitch in the Matrix.
I had Quintez Cephas. I should have started DJ Moore. I don't know why I didn't, but I still won, so it doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about it.
What went through your head with that decision? I'm curious.
What do you mean? What went through my head?
What do I mean? Quintez Cephas over DJ Moore. You started.
What went through my head?
You looked at those two players and you were like, "I'm going to go with Cephas."
What went through my head was getting six targets the first week, 7 targets the second week. I was like, "Yeah, okay, that could be good." He has the Mahomes Kelsey stack in our league of record. That's our keeper league, and it was a tight matchup. It was him and it was me. It was him. It was me. Really, what it came down to is everyone else on his team was bad. His third best scorer was Tyler Bass from Buffalo, who's their kicker.
Right.
And then DJ Chark, and then Devontae Williams. And then he also started Robert Woods, who got 6 points, Tyson Williams, who got 2 points. But I was saved by Justin Jefferson, Austin Eckler, and DeAndre Swift. My 3 running backs. And
frankly, Daniel Jones, who did not have a bad game either.
He didn't
19 points is pretty reasonably good.
It's, nothing to write home about, but it'll get the job done, and it did get the job done. Couldn't have won it without him,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so how'd those other matchups fare for you?
Well, I'm 0-3 in our straight redraft league, which is insane because these are some players, some featured players: Lamar Jackson, Cooper Kupp, Alvin Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Michael Pittman Jr. Those haven't been too bad, but just had terrible matchups, dude.
You had Cooper Kupp get you 30. You had a Kamara get you 20. 17 from Clyde, who got 100 rushing yards, a reception touchdown. Like, great game for Clyde, because I was shitting on him last week, and that's awesome.
We were. Yep. Yeah, I was happy to see him come back. Yeah.
AJ Brown was really was the difference here. I mean, if he had an AJ Brown game and didn't get hurt, like
AJ Brown puts up 20 points, I win.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the difference here, because you had a great week otherwise.
Unfortunate. Yep. And I mean, that's just the name of the game of fantasy. There's no guarantees. There's never any guarantees, and you can have the number 1 player on your roster. I mean, Cooper Kupp is the number 1 player in fantasy right now. Doesn't matter. Just to wrap it up, my dynasty, that was a killer. Really, if CeeDee Lamb had a great game, it might have gone the other way. It should have been a lot closer. It was 50-50 up until basically the second half of Monday Night Football. So
game scripts killed both of us, and not in dynasty, but in terms of being CeeDee Lamb / Dak Prescott owners. They literally benched Dak Prescott and CeeDee, all the starters, with like 5 minutes left in the game, when all I needed was like literally 4 more points. I needed like 1 reception from CeeDee Lamb for like 25 yards. And also, I also had Dak, so that would have helped if he just threw the ball to him. Or anybody, in fact. Would have been helpful. But
that is it. Unfortunately.
I'm going to do a little rant because, Chandler was expecting it. He literally messaged me and was like, "Hey, I'm looking forward to your rant on the podcast." It's like, well, I'm going to give the chain of events that drew me into a spiral of insanity last night with...
wait, hold on. I can do it quicker. John's bad at fantasy football.
Yeah, because John could have expected that Dak was going to get a rushing TD that was apparently not a rushing TD. I knew that he was going to throw 2 touchdowns to Dalton Schultz, 1 to Cedric Wilson. And I knew that the Cowboys were going to give the ball to Zeke twice to fuck me over. Jalen Hurts was going to throw a touchdown in garbage time, and they were going to bench all their starters, and Zach was going to just sit there with a fucking snapback on the sideline with a big fat smile on his face. And then, Sanders got 2 carries. So, yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense. That means I'm bad at fantasy football.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I in my work league, I traded for Zeke last week.
And started him in 1?
Yeah.
3-0?
Yeah.
I don't know how that would make me feel any better. Why are you lying to me?
It wouldn't. I was just telling you.
Okay, well, I won in Dynasty, and I'm actually in first place right now. So eat that, Jake, Mr. I Love Dynasty, and I wanted to start a Dynasty league.
Man. Yeah. Not doing so hot. I have the best long-term team.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah.
Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb.
Cool.
Jonathan Taylor.
I have Najee Harris and Kyle Pitts and Chase Claypool and Devonta Smith and Terrence Marshall Jr. Eat that.
Yeah, 3 of those guys won't play football in 2 years.
What the fuck are you talking about? You just asked me to trade for 2 of them. You're so full of shit over there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mr. I have a beard.
The fuck is that supposed to mean?
I don't know. It was meant to be an insult, but it's pretty much a compliment because a lot of people can't grow facial hair. I beat Austin, who, by the way, if you still want to trade me Antonio Gibson, I'm still willing to take him, but my offer is a lot less now.
He was talking to me. He did not. He was like, I can't get rid of Antonio Gibson. He's like, can't get rid of those foundational young running backs. And I was like, just give me Javonte for a first. What did you offer him for Gibson?
I probably offered him like Terrence Marshall Jr. or something. Like, I don't know, something not useful. No, I think I offered him Gus Edwards when he wasn't hurt.
Huh.
So like it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know.
That's not obviously the worst. I would definitely rather have Gibson. That
long term not helpful.
If anything, Gibson's value's gone up. So
the thing is Gibson would have been almost useless this week. He would have had 12 carries for 31 yards without that touchdown. That would have been it because he had 1 reception that entire game. Yeah, no, I won in Dynasty. I am 2-1 in Dynasty. I did lose that heartbreaker against Chandler in our keeper league, and I got absolutely manhandled by Sam in our redraft league. 108 to 168. I was the biggest blowout loser of the week, lost by 60 points. Sam had Josh Allen against me. He had DJ Moore, Austin Eckler, Chris Carson, Cole Beasley, and the Arizona defense. So I got destroyed. Good for Sam, though, because he needed a win pretty badly. New segment here, or we're just calling it something else. But dudes of the week. Who's your dude of the week? Meaning your breakout, your big playmaker of the week. But since we're those fantasy dudes, dude of the week.
My dude of the week is Deandre Swift.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. You gotta get Swifty.
And I got to watch him because I paid attention to the Ravens in the Lions game. God, he's just good at football.
I did see a few plays because I didn't really watch that game closely, but he is a talent. DeAndre Swift is very good at football. He's good at football.
When you give somebody who's just good at football receiving yards, I mean, he was 7 for 7 for 60 yards. Anybody will take that on any running back any day. But when you give it to a guy that's as talented as DeAndre Swift, it's eventually you're going to get the massive game. I mean, he's had a 24-point game and a 23-point game so far, but there's going to be a week where this dude puts out 40 points. I guarantee it. He's going to get 10 targets for 10 receptions, two receiving touchdowns, and a bunch of rushing yards. And it's going to be, I mean, what's going to happen probably is either Jamal Williams is going to get hurt, or it's just going to happen, you know?
Also keep in mind they have really nobody else on their team that can catch the ball other than TJ Hawkinson, who only got 2 catches for 10 yards. How
dare you leave Quintez Cephas out of this?
I'll believe it when I see it. Quintez Cephas, they have Swift and they have Hawkinson. They're not going to be giving more than 5 targets a week to Quintez Cephas.
Quintez Cephas has had 6, 7, and then last week he got 1.
Okay, point proven.
Well, you know what? He had
on average,
one
that's
target
for
1 reception.
On average, that's like 4 targets a week. So I was pretty much right.
That's more than that.
6,
Whatever,
7,
John.
and 1 divided by 3. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 14 divided by 3 is a number that I don't know.
4 point something.
Yeah, so I'm right. Waterbet Quintez Cephas gets 6+ targets next week. I say he gets less than that.
No, you got to give me. Oh, you got to give me over 5 because you said 5. That was your number. I'll take
playing?
over 5. They're playing Chicago.
All right, Waterbet. He gets less than 5 targets for me.
Okay, deal.
Okay. My dude of the week is none other than my dynasty fantasy juggernaut Najee Harris. On the shit Steelers team, got 19 targets, 14 receptions for 102 yards, and 14 carries for 40 yards to get 28 points in full PPR. So I'll take it. I think anybody would be happy with that. Najee Harris, a rookie in his third NFL game. That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, he's a man. It really. I mean, he's also, people forget, he's older than other running backs that are coming into his same type of position. He's 25.
Correct. Yeah.
He's had a little bit more time. He's had a little bit more physical development than some of the guys. So
yeah, he's done with puberty at this point.
Yeah, I would say so by about 12 years. But yeah,
guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still growing.
He needs his milk.
Yeah, he needs his Proactive to get rid of that acne every now and then. Duds of the week, Jake. You had a lot of them, but I think you should settle on one.
That's brutal. I don't know why you'd say that.
Sorry. Harsh.
This one was suggested by John, and I couldn't really argue because I wanted to talk about why. So, Jonathan Taylor is my dud of the week. And here's the thing. He's been efficient. He's been efficient with what he's been given, but the last 2 weeks he played the LA Rams where they were losing, and then he played Tennessee. Tennessee has given up 0 touchdowns to the running backs the whole season,
and they're a bad defense. No,
they're good. They're good against the run. They're really bad against the pass. That's the trade-off. That's why, I mean, they still lost, and it wasn't a very high-scoring game, so you didn't see a ton of points, but that's where most of the work was going. And that's why Nyheim Hines, who is the pass-catching guy, had a lot more points this week. So next week, when he goes to Miami, I think you're going to see a lot more like week 1, where he played against the Seahawks, where it's going to be a lot more of the Jonathan Taylor show.
You can only hope. You really can.
Good God, if it's not, I don't know what I'm going to do. No, he's playing Miami. They're playing Miami next week. But then he's got a strong rest of schedule. He plays Miami, Baltimore, Houston, San Francisco, Tennessee, Jets, Jacksonville, and then he plays Buffalo, Tampa Bay. So he's still got a pretty. But the next 6 weeks are pretty solid.
The issue is he's just not getting the workload that you would want from, in your case, I think a 3rd or 4th overall pick.
Well, not for this league, not for the keeper. For my dynasty, I'm fairly disappointed. But I still believe in him in Dynasty, and this season doesn't matter as much to me. I'm hoping he proves himself this season to be very reliable in pass catching, because he is. When he's given the work, he's reliable. If you don't give him the opportunity to catch passes, he can't catch passes.
Give him a year or two, and I think he will be a lot more productive. Maybe once Nyheim Hines isn't on that fucking team, and now that Marlon Mack might get traded, maybe he will end up being a full-on bell cow, but the NFL doesn't really seem to be leaning in that direction.
What's your dud?
Yeah, so my dud of the week is none other than, well, I had a lot of options, but I went with Miles Sanders just because 2 carries for a starting running back is fucking dreadful. Like, how
is Kenny Gainwell getting more opportunity? What did Miles
and
Sanders
Boston Scott
do?
I don't know.
Boston Scott had a little bit more garbage time than either of them, but Kenny Gainwell was in there on a couple plays that were like, you're not going to put Sanders in there? Like, why don't you trust him? What did he do?
The thing is Miles Sanders had a great game. I think he had like 15 yards. I think he got 30 yards rushing on 2 carries. So it doesn't make any sense, because the one thing that they were doing well was giving the ball to Miles Sanders, and they were just like, I think we're done with that. I think we're going to move on to Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, and throwing the ball to 2 no-name receivers on the Eagles offense, because Jalen Hurts was not throwing it to Devonta Smith. So I don't know. Yeah, really disappointing, especially because I was really banking on him, because I ended up benching Gibson, who
you should have won that week in every way, shape, and form. Like that's
McCaffrey
amazing.
Gets hurt. Like it was just fucking.
Yeah,
terrible,
that was a brutal loss.
Anyways, why don't we talk about our Week 4 matchup?
Talking matchups.
So I'm playing Pistol Pete in our keeper league.
Ooh, big game.
Yeah, that's a big game. He's got Lamar Jackson. He's got Cooper Kupp. He's got Derrick Henry. I'm nervous, dude.
I don't.
Every season. I love Peter. I love Peter so fucking much because it's just like every season we're like, God damn, Peter is going to steal this league from us. And I don't even know how much he's paying attention. But
then you look at like the fantasy transactions of the league, and he has the least by far.
He's never made it, and he's never made a transaction. It's like week 8, and you're like, dude, how do you every season just draft just a stellar team? Like the fantasy footballers who you and I both listen to, they say you don't win in the draft, and
Peter
for most parts it's true. But for the love of God, Peter, like what is he doing?
Derrick Henry, he's out on his
year.
team. This is his 3rd year with Derrick Henry. He drafted in the 4th round 3 years ago. He's been his keeper every single year. And he was between getting Henry and Kamara this year, and he ended up getting Kupp instead with our 50-50 raffle, which worked out pretty goddamn well.
Yeah,
fucking number 1 wide receiver. It's like, I can't even fathom how he gets this lucky, but still yet hardly ever wins a playoff game.
Shout out to Peter for also being all of our... All of our musical drops. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, we love you, Peter.
He has a solid team. Robbie Anderson, Tyler Higbee, Myles Gaskin, Derrick Henry, Kupp, Metcalf, and Lamar Jackson. So
I don't know. It's really like I'm projected to win, but this is by far anybody's game. I need another big week from everybody to really seal this. Luckily, I have a good team. Everybody's got. I mean, I think Darren Waller could really save me this week because there's no way that LA and Raiders aren't going to be a shootout.
Yeah, I think
two
that's
super
really
high-powered offenses.
Scenario.
They're both 3-0. They both really want to win. We might even get some some OT time too, which is even better. So
no, I'll say the only thing is you're going to have to wait until Monday night to see who wins that matchup. So that's going to be stressful.
You know what? I hope that's the case because that means that Peter hasn't blown me out on Sunday. So
this week I'm actually playing your significant other, Allie, in the Keeper League.
Yeah.
God's gift.
Named after who?
That would be my cat, Molly. It's my cat.
Sweet angel.
She's just the best. And what a great picture. Just Molly with a halo on her head.
Yeah,
it's
Allie
adorable.
did that. Yeah, that was great.
Allie and I are both 1-2 after my tough loss. I have, Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Debo, Miles Sanders, Gibson, Kyle Pitts against Washington, Chris Godwin, and she's got Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin, Kareem Hunt, Kenyon Drake. She might get Dalvin Cook back this week. I think she probably will.
If she gets Dalvin Cook back, I think you're in trouble.
I think that might be an L for me.
Somebody else needs to be in for Kenyon Drake. He's not good.
It's just another one of those examples of a person who doesn't really pay attention and still has a fantastic team.
She's a dude. I talk about my work league. She's in our work league. She's kicking the shit out of people.
I just don't get it.
Dude, she's listened. She does well. She made playoffs last year. Realistically, we might end up being the top seeds for the playoffs. So,
what are you looking at for a redraft this week?
Oh, God, I need a win in redraft, dude. I've
been 0-4
so bad. I need
to
win so bad. And luckily, I happen to be playing the guy who doesn't have Christian McCaffrey and just lost James White.
He doesn't have a running back currently.
Yeah, and Chuba's already off of this waiver. And all my claims that I'm going to put in this week are for any available running backs because I'm going to be able to drop, Quintez Cephas, and so hopefully I'll be able to.
You love Cephas.
Yeah, but no one else is going to pick him up, so it's fine.
True, I definitely won't. I promise you that.
I'm not worried about it. So yeah, dropping Quintez Cephas to possibly get a W is definitely worth it. Yeah, I need a win here bad. I'm 0-3. You go 0-4, and I mean you can come back from it, but you usually don't. You usually
Very
don't
unlikely.
make the playoffs. That's a quarter of your games. So you start off with a quarter of losses. You have to win to even be,
We do have the extra game this year. So I would say 0-5 is really the threshold where you are probably fucked. But 0-4 is not much better.
Neither of them are a good position to be in. And the shame is I really love this team. I really, really love this team. I got Cooper Kupp, I got Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I have Gerald Everett, who's been sneaking in some pretty good games. Michael Pittman, who's been really showing up. And Lamar Jackson. I got my guy on here, and I'm 0-3.
Yeah.
It's
It sucks,
ridiculous,
dude.
dude. That league hurts because every one of my matchups, like last week, if AJ Brown just hadn't gone out, I probably could have won. Week 1, I lost by only 7 points.
It's how it goes. It's the luck of the random schedule draw that really just if you take a minute and look at it and like, okay, if I played this guy this week and it was a little bit different, like maybe I would have a completely different record. And
But at the end of the day, just like real football, it's a game of seconds and inches. Wins are wins and losses are losses, and there's you know, you can make yourself feel better about it however you want. But
this is also why we're in so many leagues, because you know, Jake can feel good about the fact that he is 3-0 in his work league and 0-3 in this league.
And also, those are the guys I actually have to see every day who will talk trash. John just texts me, and then I just say something from our past leagues, and he usually stops.
Like, oh, remember Michael Gallup? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, hey, how's Tyler?
I guess
Lockett?
I do. But this week in Sam's league, our redraft league, I'm going against Mitchell, who was the dude that has Kelsey and George Kittle, I think.
That's an interesting strategy.
He does.
It seems to be working out for him, but Kittle is questionable, isn't he?
He is. But the thing is he's 2-1. He has Dak, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Melvin Gordon. His running backs are not great. Melvin Gordon, Singletary, not great. Although Singletary is going against Houston this week.
But when you've got Kelsey and Kittle, I mean,
doesn't really matter. He's got to fill those spots with somebody. But he's got Jamar Chase versus Jacksonville. Like, fuck.
That might be a tough one, dude. That might be a 2-touchdown game.
It might be tough for me to wait from Thursday to Sunday to see how I can compete with that when he's already up 25-0 on me. Oh, I do have James Robinson that I'm probably going to start this week because I think that James Robinson is finally going to start kicking into gear a little bit here.
I think Urban Meyer is stupid if he's not, because he was an undrafted free agent. You're paying him nothing. Just run him into the ground. Just run him into the ground while Trevor Lawrence adjusts to playing at NFL speed with NFL caliber talents. Like, every single play that Trevor Lawrence is about to get hit, dump off to James Robinson. Like, even from a non-fantasy perspective, it's like, keep your guy healthy, let him get adjusted. Who gives a shit about this season? No one expects Trevor Lawrence to come out there and win the whole season. I hope they give more work to James Robinson. It makes sense. He's feasibly their second best player behind Trevor Lawrence, depending on how you feel about him.
I could really care less about Jacksonville, but I do have James Robinson on my team, so I hope he does well for me this week if I'm going to have any chance against Mitchell. I also have Cousins. I have Dalvin Cook, who I kind of, honestly, I'd rather he not play, so I beat Allie, and then I have Madison in this league, so it's not the end of the world if he doesn't play for me. Cortland Sutton, Chris Godwin, David Montgomery, TJ Hawkinson. Not the worst team ever. I also have Devonta Smith. I'm kind of in between starting him or Cortland Sutton versus Baltimore. I also have Chase Claypool. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. What are you looking at in Dynasty?
This week I'm playing Austin. Yeah, he's got a pretty solid team. But he does have Allen Robinson, who this might be off kilter here, but I say in Dynasty you go trade for Allen Robinson right now.
Dynasty,
I think, yeah,
okay.
Because this is only, he's not that old. He's 28. He's still got probably 3 more years, and you can probably get him for nothing. You could pitch somebody a first round pick, and if you're a remotely, like, you are a contending team in the next 2 years or the next year maybe, either the quarterback situation there is gonna get figured out, or he's gonna leave. They didn't sign a new contract. Either they figure it out there and he signs there, or he goes somewhere else, gets the bag, and is the one.
I think for Allen Robinson, I don't know what his priorities are, but let's say he wants money. He's leaving Chicago. If he wants to be, winning games and actually like padding his stats with a good quarterback and a good coach,
he's leaving Chicago.
He's probably also going to leave Chicago. You're right. I was trying to think of a scenario where that wasn't the case in Chicago, but they got to fire Matt Nagy. Justin Fields needs to get his shit together. I don't know. It's just overall not a great situation for Allen Robinson. But yeah, I guess I'll agree with you that he's a good.
That's what I'm
target.
saying. Don't trade for him for this season. You're not if you're contending this season, stay away from Allen Robinson. But if you have a solid team and maybe you're waiting on some pieces, maybe you lost Gus or you lost J.K. Dobbins or whatever it is. Maybe you have Christian McCaffrey, so the next 2 years you're viable. Go trade for him. He is an incredible talent. That's what you can say about him and he's done it with terrible quarterback play before. It's just a matter of if they don't call any plays for him, he can't make do with no catches. There's no, you can't do anything with no targets.
This is why I'm bringing up the Aaron Rodgers trade to Chicago thing. Imagine Aaron
Never gonna
Rodgers
happen.
with Allen Robinson. But Brett Favre went to Minnesota. That's my only historic frame of reference that I can base this situation
Maybe.
off
I
of.
don't
Where
know.
if for some reason he went to Chicago, Allen Robinson is there, Darnell Mooney, Devontae Adams follows him along the way. Green Bay fans would hate him for life, but they'll be fine. They have Jordan Love.
So I've got some pretty good some pretty good spots. I would be happy if Madison plays, because I've got him in Dynasty, which was turning out to be a good pick. But I see Justin Jefferson having a good week. They're playing Cleveland. Jonathan Taylor, I really think this is going to be the bounce back from the last 2 weeks. I think he's going to absolutely torch him, and I think they're going to give him the work to run out the clock too, which is going to be great, because Miami's offense right now is god awful.
It was kind of fun to see Brissett just give it his all and just like sacrifice his entire body.
The gap between Tua and Jacoby Brissett should not be as close as it was.
I think
Tua for the draft capital he was given should be miles ahead of Jacoby Brissett.
You would think, but also Brissett's been in the league for a while, and he's been a serviceable backup that is able to win games. And he also was under Tom Brady, and he was also under Andrew Luck at one point too. So he's got some good mentorship. Yeah, I think you can beat Austin. Allen Robinson, Randall Moore, Tyler Lockett is hurt. I don't think he's going to play this week.
Yeah, he also all the teammates stood around him on the field. I don't know what the deal is with that.
I'm not seeing anything on an injury for Tyler Lockett, but for some reason something's up. I don't know. Maybe he'll come back.
I know he got up and walked off on under his own power. I know that. But
okay,
he might have come back out there, and that's why we're not hearing about it. But still, San Francisco, I don't know. I'm not too worried about that matchup. Hopefully, because people forget the first two teams he played were Indianapolis and Tennessee. Tennessee, who is giving up the most points to wide receivers so far. And
right,
he got 11 targets there. So we'll see. I'm not too worried about Tyler Lockett, because if he's not feeling 100%, that would be kind of ideal.
Yeah, we'll see. It's tough. You really need your running backs to produce, especially Tyson Williams here. You need Joe Burrow to have a good game against Jacksonville. So I'm going against our good friend Sterling in Dynasty this week. He's got Patty Mahomes, Miles Sanders, Eckler, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Marquise Brown, and Cortland Sutton. Very solid team, especially for a win now type of team.
Yeah.
He's actually 1-2 though, so he must have had a tough loss last week, but
it's
definitely a scary team.
If he had drafted, can you imagine if he had drafted Kelsey instead of Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah,
and then any other
round.
quarterback? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's really where he's lacking here.
I would much rather sacrifice Jonnu Smith for Kelsey, and then honestly just throw like a Matthew Stafford in there or something,
Jonnu Smith 1 for 6 for 4 yards. Brutal.
Yeah, I'm completely out on the Patriots pass blockers. I mean tight ends.
I'm completely out on Patriots. Full stop. This season, because we weren't really in on them last year, and even when Tom Brady was there was fewer guys than not that we were in on,
I don't know. I think Sterling, he's obviously expected to win with guys like Diggs and Cooper Kupp and Eckler, who have their projections are pretty high, and I could see them getting those. But I'm pretty happy with my team so far. Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Chris Godwin, Claypool.
You're
Pitts,
first
Devonta
in the
Smith.
league, aren't you?
I'm number 1.
3-0. Yeah.
Tom Brady. I'm 2-1, but I am number 1 in the league. I like my chances, but I think he might be my hardest matchup so far in Dynasty. I think he's got a really good team. So, sweet. Why don't we dive into some TFD mailbox?
Fantasy Dudes Mailbox.
All right, so the first question is from Mr. 876 Stallion on Instagram. Thank you for sending in the question. But it's just a basic start sit. Odell or Christian Kirk this week?
Odell. Oh, they're missing Jarvis Landry. Odell came in there. I don't know. Let me pull up the exact stats, because I know he had a good.
He had 9
week.
targets, 5 receptions for 77 yards in his first game back, and probably about a year's time.
Yeah, you're not complaining about 5 targets, or 9 targets.
And that Odell is the guy right now. Who else do they have to throw to catch the ball?
And that was also in Chicago. Was when they sacked Justin Fields 9 times. So
yeah, that's an Odell for me as well.
Yeah, I'm big in on Odell. I think Minnesota and Cleveland could definitely be a shootout. I think there's a possibility of that.
I hope every game's a shootout, honestly, and for fantasy's sake.
Yeah.
Just
Sometimes you
please.
just say it just to will it into existence. You're like, maybe
Yeah.
it could be a shootout.
You can only hope. You really can.
Yeah, but I'm going Odell there. I think his volume's a little bit more guaranteed. I think that though the Cardinals' offense is really good, I think it's a little bit tough to decide to figure out who it's going to be on any given week.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Rondale Moore had a game, and at the end of the day, they still have DeAndre Hopkins, who's DeAndre Hopkins. So.
And they have a pass-catching running back in Chase Edmonds and a quarterback that likes to run the ball almost the entire game. So,
Speaking of Chase Edmonds, I think we have one in here for him.
yeah. So this week it's Chuba or Chase Edmonds.
Chuba, by far. Chuba he did great with the opportunity he was given when McCaffrey went out, and he wasn't expecting to be in there. Now he's had a full longer week than average because they played Thursday to get acquainted with being the starter. He knows he's going to be the guy. And look at Mike Davis. Mike Davis in Carolina, great starter, could be a league winner. Mike Davis in Atlanta, dog shit. So I'm banking on Chuba. I think he's going to be a real hitter this week. And there's very few people I would consider starting over him that aren't clear cut,
Right.
like aren't
right.
obvious starts.
For me, I would honestly go Chuba as well, but mainly based off the fact that there isn't really anybody else in that backfield right now that is going to be getting any goal line work. Like Royce Freeman is there.
You don't like Royce Freeman?
Dude, did you see him in every carry that he got? He got fucking
Bad.
just bottled up at the line every time.
I mean, there's a reason he's not on the Denver Broncos anymore.
Yeah, he sucks. So I'm not scared of Royce Freeman, but James Conner got plenty of goal line work for the Cardinals. So if Chase Edmonds isn't getting either, let's say, a 15, 20-yard breakaway touchdown or a few reception touchdowns, Chuba is going to be your guy based on the start and sit decision. Julio Jones or Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase. Yeah.
Jags. They're playing the Jags. And I think that I think that everybody's kind of got acquainted the last couple weeks. And now I think Joe Burrow is going to go out there and just sling it.
I also think T. Higgins is hurt. Am I just making up injuries right now? But I'm pretty sure T. Higgins is hurt too.
No, I'm pretty sure T. Higgins didn't play this last week. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah, because Boyd got some work too. So
Gesicki or Logan Thomas this week for your tight end streaming positions. Here's what I'm going to say real quick before you give your thing. Jacoby Brissett targeted Mike Gesicki 12 times for 10 receptions last week. He's going to be the quarterback for the next 3 weeks here, most likely. I don't know which one you're favoring.
Wow,
but
I didn't know he got that much work. I mean, I was going to go with Gesicki anyway. I was just making the case, but I didn't know he got that much work. I just learned this now reading the stats or his stat line. I'm just like, what?
So
just for sake of the argument, who's Washington playing?
They're playing Atlanta, so a terrible team.
I'm sorry. Indianapolis is worse against tight end for fantasy points so far this season, and they've got Brissett who targeted Gesicki a bunch. Gesicki's the smash start in that comparison for me.
I think he is, and when it comes to Logan Thomas, even though they're going against an arguably bad defense in Atlanta, he's going to be touchdown dependent to get.
I think that bad defense is great for Gibson, McKissick, and McLaurin. And Heineke, who's probably going to rush a fair bit. People forget, Heineke's a very, very high percentile athlete.
Yeah, he definitely is. It's
He's
just the
really,
name is very backup quarterback-esque. If your name is Taylor Heineke, no one looks at you as an elite-level quarterback.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's a cool name.
Taylor Heineke?
I don't know what you're talking about, John.
No, but you can't say it without being like, my name's Taylor Heineke.
My name's Taylor Heineke.
No,
that was pretty cool.
It still doesn't work.
I'm Taylor Heine.
Poor guy probably got made fun of. I'm an NFL quarterback now.
For sure, dude.
All right, Clyde Edwards-Helaire or DJ Moore this week. After benching DJ Moore for Cephas, how do you feel about this one?
I feel like a moron for doing that, so don't rub it in. I'm going to have to still go Clyde Edwards-Helaire there. Zeke torched Philadelphia this week.
He did. He made it look easy. He was getting 8 yards at least every single run. It was like he was running through paper.
And their O-line, I mean, they lost players on their D-line against Dallas, so it's only getting worse.
they can't seem to stop the run with the guys like Montez Sweat and Cox, I think his name is, on the Philadelphia D-line, but they can pass rush pretty darn well. I'll give them that.
I don't know what it is. It must be their edge rushers are just great. I don't know. I don't know enough about like actual football to know why that is the case, but
yeah, that seems like that wouldn't be the case when they're that good at getting to the quarterback. But
they must. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire here for me. That's still a tough one though. I wouldn't blame anyone for going either way with that because DJ Moore in Dallas is also a great looking matchup.
I think I'm going to go DJ Moore. Just I trust him a little bit more, especially after last week's output. But it's tough for me because I've come to the point where I feel like I need to go running back, especially in my flex, over wide receiver because they have more guaranteed touches. So that would be my argument for Clyde. DJ Moore has been averaging 10 targets a game. How do you argue with 10 targets a game? Yeah. So no. I don't know. I don't blame either person. I think Clyde's just a higher floor to me. I would disagree with that. I think that Clyde is more of a boom bust every single week than DJ Moore, who I think has at least a floor of like 8 points. I don't know. This is a tough one. I would start Clyde over DJ Moore just because I like having a pass catching running back who hopefully they're going to start giving him more work because that was, he's a pass catching running back, but not in the context of the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Anyways, why don't we get into our survival football picks for the week? Jake, 3-0. 3-0, baby. 3-0. You're still going. I'm technically dead as of week 1, but I actually did pick one correctly this week. I picked the Bills, I think. Yeah. I don't know who I picked, so I hope you're keeping track of this. So you went Broncos week 2. I don't remember who you picked week 2. But anyway, who are you picking for week 4? I'm going Bengals. Wow. Are you trying to tank your 3-0 record right now? I think the Bengals torch Jacksonville. It's not fair for you to pick the team that's playing Jacksonville again. I think you can't. Did they? Oh, Arizona, you're right. Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I just really believed. I believe the Bengals were going to kick the shit out of Jacksonville. That's why. But that's fair. Let me pick. I'll pick something else. You still can. If you want to get the Bengals out of the way, it's a very smart choice. That's fair. Bills. I'm going Bills. Against Houston? Okay. Yeah. All right. Jake's picking the Bills. Man, it's a tough one. I think I'm just going to keep picking smart teams, and because it doesn't really matter, I'm going with the Buccaneers against the Patriots this week. Tom Brady back home in New England. Gronkowski back home in New England. I would love for it to be a competitive game, but I think it's going to be a slaughter. How... the chills during that Adele commercial, dude. I never thought I would say a commercial with Adele gave me chills. I listen to that song on repeat daily anyway. But it's a good song. I'm not saying it's not a good song. I'm just saying, like, I didn't think that it would give me chills, because it's about her sad relationship or whatever. But then when you put it next to footage of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Yeah, it just... unlike anything I've ever seen before. That was good. I don't know who came up with that, but they deserve a raise. The people at the NFL making these commercials are very, very smart with their marketing strategies. They've done some incredible work. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Those Fantasy Dudes podcast. Make sure to check Jake out Sunday mornings on our Instagram stories, where you can send him last-minute start and sit questions. He will give you advice. And I wouldn't recommend listening to his advice, but it's bad. You can certainly... give him the time of day, but I wouldn't recommend listening to anything else. I don't even keep track of it because I think that would affect my mental health. Cool. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, at Those Movie Dudes. Fuck, I said it again. I feel like you should just leave that in as some cross promotion. Check out Those Movie Dudes, but also check us out at Those Fantasy Dudes and ThoseFantasyDudesPodcast.com. New episodes every single Wednesday. Good luck this week, and we'll see you for week 5.
Thanks for tuning in to Those Fantasy Dudes podcast. Make sure to tune in next week and follow us at Those Fantasy Dudes on Instagram.
Well, you made it to the end of the show, but it's not quite over yet. Quick plugs here. If you haven't already, check us out on Instagram or Facebook at thosefantasydudes.com or our website, thosefantasydudespodcast.com. We like to answer your questions. Send us questions, whether they're fantasy football related or not. If it's more of a personal issue, we're glad to talk about it on this public platform where everybody can hear it. So I think we have some life advice that we're willing to dish out. But anyways, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.